Rest your sweet head on my shoulder, drape your arm around my neck, swaying gently to a dance you're dreaming of, but you're reaching for my body.
You mentioned that your blackberry liquor has a 98 rating by the Beverage Testing Institute, making it the highest rated spirit of any kind in North America. Does this mean I should use this in place of water when I take a bath?
Of course. I would highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
All right, I will take 400 bottles. I think I owe it to myself.
If you let us buy it back, we'll slap your name on the bottle and we'll see how popular you are.
I'm like adding the taste that the barrel adds.
The distillery opened in 2010, so it'll be 8 years in August. That'll be our anniversary. But we do Snohomish On The Rocks every year, and we typically rotate through employees so everybody gets a chance to do it because it's a pretty awesome event. Pretty small, family-oriented. There's actually only 5 employees, so we just keep growing little by little. Okay, so we're Whidbey Island Distillery. We're right on Whidbey Island, about 5 minutes north of the ferry from Clinton. And if you can't make it to the island or make it to one of these events, probably the big guys would be Total Wine & More and BevMo. So anywhere you have one of those near you, that'd be where you can get it.
All right, so if you're going to wake up in an alley, do it behind one of those places so you can go get one of these in the morning.
I love surprises like every day, like when the sun shines.
I know.
Like, what's that?
I see that you use water pulled straight from the earth at your estate in Tenino, Washington. Do you think perhaps that unicorns were buried there centuries ago, lending to the pure flavor?
Well, yeah, that's what purifies. You got to purify the water through the unicorn horn because that's what makes it so pure and exciting. I mean, you ever see the commercials for that? What is that gum or whatever they have? Yeah, that. That we filter through diamonds. Which also makes it real special. The grains are made up of basically 2 components. They're proteins and carbohydrates. Now, through the mashing process, we convert the carbohydrates into sugars, and then you ferment those sugars with yeast to make an alcohol, and then you distill that alcohol into all the other stuff we make. Well, we have a little thing called bacon whiskey. Now, what we got left over in the pot when we're all done doing that distillation is this grain base that's got all the proteins still there, because the proteins don't distill, they don't ferment, they don't really go anywhere. So we got this high protein grain that we take to the end of the road where there's a pig farm, so that the grains that made the whiskey get fed to the pigs that make the bacon that we put right back in to make our bacon whiskey.
All right, so how long have you been in the business?
Legally, a little over 3 years now. Oh, I don't look good in orange. Yeah, federal prison. I hear it really sucks. So yeah, we did this. So you can go to Total Wine & More, as far north as Linwood, and all the way down to Vancouver, Washington. Carries most of our products. We also have a few local stores in the Olympia area. Being in Tenino, we're kind of a suburb of Olympia. Tumwater, Lacey, the Tri-Cities right there. So a lot of bars and restaurants around that local area. The backyard service up pretty well.
So I'm here with Copperworks Distilling Company. We're at the Snohomish On The Rocks event. You were named the 2018 Distillery of the Year by the American Distilling Institute. With that achievement, you can basically just hang out and do nothing now, right?
No, definitely not. So that's sort of the beginning of the story. We've been around about 5 years, but we just started whiskey in the last year and a half in terms of when we released our whiskey. So we kind of feel like we're at the beginning of all the hard work that's going to go in. Starts with the build out, then laying barrels down. Now we actually have whiskey to sell. It's great to get recognition like that because it means more people are going to be looking into our products, and it just really helps us get the word out about what we're doing, and it allows us to share the products with more people. We're exploring a lot of different variables when it comes to American single malt whiskey. So a lot of the initial barrels we're tasting are a lot of different experiments with different types of wood, different treatment of the wood, different malt bills going into the barrels. So we're learning a lot of small details and what the different flavors are going to come out in the bottle. Yeah, so the reliable spot is at our tasting room in downtown Seattle, but then we are available in places like Total Wine, Whole Foods, a lot of the grocery stores in the greater Seattle area, about 100 retail locations around the Puget Sound area. So.
All right, if we could get these things arriving at Denny's, we'd really class up that place.
Totally.
We'll work on that. All right, thank you very much.
Cheers, nice to meet you.
You too. Well, I am here with Bad Dog Distillery out of Arlington, Washington. Found out you guys are actually named after Hank the dog.
Hank, yes. Hank is our Red English Lab, and his nickname has been Bad Dog since he was about 2 years old. Hank he loves beer, And so if you're not watching your beer glass, his tongue will be in it. So I think that's where his first nickname, Bad Dog, came from. And he has lived up to his name.
That's funny. I had this follow-up question, but you just answered it right there. And I was going to ask, you call him Bad Dog, but I mean, really, deep down, he's a good boy, right?
Yes, he's a very good boy. He's well behaved. He loves his owner. So him and Dave, the husband Dave, the distiller, they're like this. So, yeah. We are just entering our 4th year. Took about 5 years of working on the whole project. But yeah, we got 3 years under our belt. This is our, I think, 3rd or 4th year at Snohomish On The Rocks. You can find us in many of our Snohomish County Hagen stores. We're also in many of the Total Wine & More stores.
They say single malt whiskeys from Scotland tend to have the word Glen in front of them. Have you considered naming your whiskey Glen Sodo?
So we have chosen to name our distillery Westland because we're American single malt whiskey. We're sourcing all of our malted barley from, a majority of the barley from in-state here. Actually, 80% of our barley comes from Washington. And we're representing essentially this amazing region of the United States and the fact that we were meant to make American single malt whiskey. Thus Westland, and also the namesake of some property that was owned by original owners as well. So thus Westland. But yes, we are based in Sodo. Our American oak is our signature whiskey. It is made from a 5 malt recipe. Again, about 80% of that barley is sourced from in-state. And then we mature in charred new oak barrels, which is kind of a nod to bourbon tradition. So though we're comprised of a different grain, bourbon being at least 51% corn, it's definitely a nod to that tradition. Bourbon typically matures in charred new oak barrels. So that's really what we hang our hat on. It is our house style, so to speak. But additionally, we're also really excited to pour today our Peat Week 2017. Every year we release a heavily peated whiskey. This guy was just named Best American Single Malt Whiskey in the country by Icons of Whiskey that publishes Whiskey Magazine. So we're really excited about this one to pour today too.
By the time I got to the end, if I sampled all the way, well, the interviews might just get more fun. Who knows?
Exactly. We'll see how this goes. In a few hours here, you'll be feeling good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what subtitles are for. I can just put that on screen when I'm slurring.
Right. So we are widely distributed throughout not only the country, but obviously Washington State as well. You can find us in Sodo, of course, at the distillery where we make our whiskey and also have our tasting room. Additionally, we're all over Total Wine & More, Bevmo, PCC, Whole Foods, a ton of independent liquor stores, and a lot of bars and restaurants as well. So keep your eyes peeled for us.
Okay, so I am here with Sound Spirits.
Founded in 2008, opened the doors in 2010. After Prohibition, there wasn't any alcohol allowed, so there was just a long lull as legal distilleries were not allowed. Of course, you can imagine there were probably people doing it at home, illegal operations, but we were the first legal operation to open up in Seattle since Prohibition.
Okay, so you also say that you're finally open again, and you had emphasis on again. What happened the first time around?
Well, we lost our lease, so the building got torn down to make way for rental storage units. So it took a while to go, oh my gosh, over a year to find a space, move. You can imagine all the heavy equipment. It was quite the ordeal. So yeah, we're finally open up over in 1138 West Ewing Street by the Ballard Bridge. Yeah, so Madame Damnable, she was one of Seattle's first pioneer settlers. She ran Seattle's first hotel. I guess she could curse like a sailor, being that she'd been married to one, so she picked up that nickname. Her real name is Mary Ann Conklin. She's buried up on Capitol Hill. So yeah, just a really cool lady from the past. I saw a picture of her at the Museum of History and Industry, and I was like, that is going to be the name of my whiskey. You know, one of our best retailers for all of us probably here is Total Wine. They have a larger selection than most. Grocery stores don't have a whole lot of space, so it's kind of hit or miss what product you're going to find in there. Whoever's watching this, if you hear of changes to legislation when it comes to spirits, please help us out. We've got some bills coming in front of legislators in Olympia next year, where we hopefully will get to cross-sell each other's products, and that way we can be our own retail distribution system, as well as hopefully eventually lower the spirit taxes. So stay tuned to spirit legislation.
Well,
Well, Hooch Pooch, which is my dog Lily, she just happens to, every time I go down to the distillery, she wants to be there. And I don't know, I just kind of like, oh, this is my Hooch Pooch. And that's kind of stuck, and that's what I put on our website. Our Law Dog is one of our most popular products. It's a 3-grain whiskey that has molasses in it prior to distillation. And then it's aged in a used rye barrel. A little bit of vanilla and caramel taste to it with just a slight pepper note at the end from the barrel. It's great sipping whiskey, neat or on ice, mixing with like lemonades and sweet iced tea, which I call Django's, which is absolutely delicious on a hot summer day. Our Devil Spit, which is our cinnamon whiskey, it's an 85 proof cinnamon whiskey that it's the same base product as the Law Dog, but we use 3 types of cinnamon, orange peel, and clove. And that is great either sipping or on the rocks, and also goes really good in lemonade. It's kind of and also hot apple cider. We sell directly from the distillery. I do deliveries, or in a local area we do deliveries, and we also are trying to get an e-commerce online sales. So most of the time, if anybody's outside of our area, we can ship, and we just do it over the phone.
All right, well, that's Silver Spur Spirit, so go ahead and look them up, give them a call. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So I'm here with James Bay Distillers Limited. How long have you been in business?
We've been in business for 4 years, so we just recently found our location at Painfield. Well, we were in Virginia to start with, which is bourbon country, but everybody there was singing the same song, that it had to be Granddaddy's recipe from back in the hills. And so we came west. I grew up in Washington State, and we found Painfield to be the smartest and best location.
What do you do differently?
Well, we have the unique feature of being located both in the U.S. and Canada. We have a barrel aging facility in Chilliwack and an office in Victoria, so we can play both sides of the border, whether it's Canadian or American spirits, and we can do blends of both bourbon, Canadian, or other international spirits.
Main pillars of our organization is giving back to the community, charity events, things such as this in Grow, Washington. We also sponsored a benefit dinner for a cop with cancer down in Federal Way earlier this year, and we ended up raising $40,000 for him and the family. So we really like giving back to the community. There's 7 of us involved. We're all big involved in the community: police officers, 911 dispatchers, medical transcriptionists. So that's what makes us very unique.
Wow, so I guess light side was a little too floofy, and you just had to go with night side instead. But yeah, the name kind of belies the philanthropy that you seem to be involved in.
Yes.
What's the first spirit that you guys made?
The first spirit that we make, and it's the bedrock of all of our spirits, is our apple-based vodka. So we start out with apple juice, sugar, yeast, nutrients, and from there we produce our 190 proof vodka, flavoring it down or proofing it down with water or flavor, however you want to describe it. And so that's the basis of all our products other than our bourbon.
All right, and how long have you guys been around?
It'll be 5 years in July. Yeah, things are going really well. Last year we grew by 54% in total sales. We're in about 100 different bars, restaurants, and stores throughout the state of Washington. We're also in the Chicagoland. We started distributing there in January. And primary retail for us is the Total Wine & More. We're in all the Total Wine & Mores throughout the state, and they've been very good to us.
All right, so if you're trying to get a bar someplace to carry your spirits, you just keep pouring them another shot until they say yes?
It's by submission, exactly. Yeah. They'll listen to us, yeah.
I like it. I probably wouldn't say no either. All right, well, this is Nightside Distillery. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.